What is up, fan addicts, fan guy addicts? It's your boy Josh, fan guy, coming to you with some Week 7 NFL sports betting advice. Now, I hope you didn't follow my advice last week or anyone else in the betting community's advice last week, because if you did, anyone who knows anything about NFL football would have gotten their ass kicked last week. Matter of fact, I did too. Last week's score was 15-13. Hey, look, we were on the positive side of things by a little bit. We finished 15-13 for the week. That puts us 38-27 overall. Not great, but not too bad. Our locks of the week, that's where I'm really disappointed. We went 2 for 2. And we're 9-3 overall. A couple weird things happened with the Ravens game and the Niners game, and just some crazy stuff happened last week. I think everything's going to get back to normal this week. Almost every year, whenever there's a crazy bad weird week, the next week everything is returned to normal. So I'm confident with a lot more picks this week than I was last week. Last week I was on the fence about a lot of things. It shows, and it even showed in some of the games the way they played out. Let's just jump right into our picks this week. Try to get you in and out of here as quick as possible. So our four picks for this week are the Chiefs -2.5 against the Niners in San Francisco. I'm surprised the spread's this low. The Chiefs are way better than the Niners, and the Niners are having they have a very depleted defense right now. Chiefs -2.5. Tonight's game, Cardinals. The Cardinals at home against the Saints. Another spread. I'm surprised to see this low. It's only 2.5, which I find crazy. The Cardinals should beat the Saints by more than this. The Saints are completely inept on offense right now. They got some weird packages with Taysom Hill and crazy stuff running, but I feel very confident the Cardinals cover this one. Ravens 6.5. I normally don't like to pick a team by 6.5, giving up 6.5 points for a lock, but you know what? I think they beat the crap out of the Browns. I think they come back to make a statement after last week's weirdness to the Giants, and I do think they cover this spread against a Cleveland team that's been really bad. Not to mention the Ravens are at home. And then the Packers. I know, everyone. The Packers have been looking atrocious, but this week they get a Washington Commander team that just lost Carson Wentz. Very depleted Commander team. They are in Washington, but you know what? I still like the Packers -4.5. I think they're going to right the ship this week. I think a couple of teams right the ship this week. And I think more than anything, it's just the matchup against the Commanders is just it's too juicy to pass up at -4.5 with a new quarterback on the Commanders side. So those are our four lock picks for the week. Let's jump right into the game. So tonight's game, we got Saints at Cardinals. The Cardinals are 2.5 point favorites, over under 43.5. Money line's close. I'm going with the Cardinals all day. I feel like both offenses are pretty depleted right now and in weird spots. So this is a very logical under situation for me, and I do think the Cardinals cover this. So now we have the Browns at the Ravens. Again, we just said Ravens covering was something I feel pretty good about. I really just like the Ravens to win this game. Again, I hate giving up 6.5. I do think the Browns are better than a lot of people think. And, so we don't, it is what it is. And I do think this is a higher scoring game. I think the Ravens are going to put up a bunch of points in this game against the Browns at home. I think the Ravens score 28-35 points and cover in an over situation. I think the Ravens are going to beat the piss out of the Browns this week. Colts at Titans. This game should be really close. Titans are 2.5 point favorites. Over under is 42. I keep wavering on this one, so I have to make a pick for statistic purposes. Oddly enough, I would actually change my pick if I said it right now, but I'm going with all my graphics that I made whenever I went with my picks. What I made with the graphics. I actually think Indy's looked okay lately. And I think if the line gets to 3, I think I would take Indy +3. I think this is a very close game, but I'm going to go ahead and take the home team here with the Titans and say Derrick Henry carries the load. So give me the Titans according to my graphic. I do think this is an under game. This just has run written all over it. Bucks at Panthers. Tampa minus 11. It's crazy how they're giving Tampa that much respect after last week's debacle to the Steelers. Over under minus 40. Money line's massive. Okay, so look, only for scorekeeping for this, I'm going to say Panthers plus 11. That being said, I do think there's a good chance that Brady bounces back. He always seems to bounce back in this situation and put up massive weeks. So, all of my logic and all of the empirical evidence we have about how Tampa's struggling on offense, Panthers are struggling on offense, that's going to lead me to say this game's under. But the truth be told, I think this could be a game where the Bucks score 35 points by themselves. It ends up like 35-7, and it's a barely an over with the Bucks putting up a crap load of points. So for statistical purposes, I'm going to go with logic, reason, evidence, and trends and say that it's Panthers plus 11 and the under in a low-scoring game because that's what should happen. However, my spidey senses on this game are going off. I think it's going to be a big Bucks win, and I do think it actually could be an over with the Bucks scoring a crap load of points. That's what my spidey senses are saying. But for scorekeeping, I'm going to say this. Use what I just said however you want to. With great power comes great responsibility. Next, we got the Falcons at the Bengals. Bengals are 6.5 point favorites. Look, give me the Bengals money line on parlays. I do think they win this game for sure. 6.5, pretty fair spread considering the Falcons haven't been playing that bad. They just had a big win over San Francisco, so I think maybe this line should be closer. But for scorekeeping, I'll say the Bengals cover. I think they are going to win this game. I do think it's a low-scoring game. The Falcons' offense is really weird how they operate. They run the ball a ton. They run the clock a ton. They don't pass a lot. So I think this is actually going to be a lower scoring game, and this is a fairly high over-under for a game that is, with the Falcons, who just don't score a lot of points. Lions at Cowboys. This is a fun game for the week. We don't know for sure if Dak is playing yet, but sources are saying he is going to play. Thus, the line is the Cowboys minus 7, over-under at 49. So, look, I think this is a closer game than people are thinking. I think that the Lions are going to cover this 7 points. They've been offensively really good. Dallas has been really good defensively, and it is in Dallas. Hence, I'm going to say this is a lower scoring game, but the Lions aren't completely inept offensively, so I think they cover in a low scoring game. I'm actually surprised the over-under is this high for this game. I think it should be significantly lower, so I feel pretty confident about this under. Packers at Commanders. Packers minus 4.5 point favorites. So look, I think the Packers are going to cover this, or you could take them on the money line on a parlay. I do think this could be a 3-point game. I think the Packers could end up winning this by a field goal. So I'm a little more confident in the money line here because both these teams offensively have just been so bad. Commanders just lost their quarterback. So I think this is a for sure under. But again, just like I said about Brady with the Tampa game, this could be Aaron Rodgers is like, hey, I'm still here, guys, kind of weak. This is a good week to make it happen against the Commanders. You could put up a points bonanza. You could see the Packers putting 28 up themselves. It's just whether the Commanders can score the additional, couple touchdowns needed to cover this. So I'm going to say under. But I do like the Packers a lot this week to win this game. Giants at Jags. So the Jags are 3-point favorites, which I think is pretty wild considering what the Giants have been doing lately. The over-under at 42.5. This is going to be a windy day with the weather reports, so there's probably not going to be a lot of passing. Neither of these teams loves to pass a ton. I'm going to take the home team. I'm still not a believer in the Giants. Look, I just don't believe in the Giants yet. I just don't. I don't know why I don't. I just don't. Maybe I'm too much of a fantasy football guy where I just see the Giants have nothing going on offensively at all. So I'm just going to take the Jags here. I think they're the better team. I think they cover. I'd prefer it. Again, I think this is going to be a very close game. So I do think I would prefer it if it was a 2.5 spread, but screw it. And I think this is a game where both teams have to run a lot in windy conditions. So give me the under again. Next game, Texans at Raiders. Raiders are 7-point favorites. This one, obviously, I have a question mark by my pick. So I do feel that I'm going to take the Raiders minus 7. I do think they win this game. But I do think, again, I hate giving up a touchdown. Uh, but I do think the Raiders are going to cover this, and I do think it's going to be a lower scoring game. Neither of these teams offensively have been juggernauts. Obviously, Devontae Adams could have a big game, and so could the Raiders. This over under I feel pretty close about too. This is not a game I'm going to be betting on much this week, but I'm picking every game for scorekeeping purposes. If I only pick games I was sure about, then I would have a lot less picks and a lot better score. But this is what we're going with. Jets at Broncos. So the Broncos are minus 1.5 point favorites. Over under is 38. This is a game where my spidey senses are going off as well, because I think the Broncos are actually going to turn it up here, score a bunch of points. I think Russell Wilson finds his stride this week. I think the Jets kick, and I think this is actually an over game, and I do think the Broncos have a good chance of winning it. However, I'm going to go with logic, reason, statistics for my analysis and my picks here. So I'm going to go Jets 1.5. Give me the points. I think this is a very low scoring game between a very good Broncos defense that has not been able to find their fire on any cylinders offensively. Jets defense has actually been pretty good too. So I think if the Jets defense shows up and the Broncos defense shows up, neither team has an explosive offense. So I think this obviously should be an under game. I could lean either way on which team I think is going to win. But I think the Jets have a lot more momentum than the Broncos. Chiefs at Niners. This is a shocker for me that the Chiefs are only 2.5 point favorites. Get it in all day on the Chiefs at minus 2.5. And I think this is an over game with the depleted Niners defense. It's not in Arrowhead. If this was in KC, I think their defense plays a little better at home, obviously. So I think this is actually an over game. Surprise, surprise, we have an over. And then we got the Seahawks and the Chargers. We're going to go with the Chargers are 5.5 point favorites. We're going to go with the Chargers money line, as I do think this could be a close game for parlays. But if I'm going to take the spread on this game, I'm going to take the Chargers, give up the points at minus 5.5. And I do think this is an over game. Both these offenses have been clicking. Both these defenses have been terrible. I'm over. Matter of fact, I want to change one of my locks of the week right now to this game and the over, because I feel that strongly about it. Steelers at Dolphins. Dolphins are 7 point favorites. I think the Dolphins are going to beat the crap out of the Steelers. Give me the Dolphins minus 7. Do you think the Steelers offense is bad enough where it's under? I think this game is actually like 35-7. Dolphins. I think the Dolphins beat the hell out of the Steelers, but somehow it finishes just under the total of 44.5. Nope, that's not it. That was last week. Okay, here we go. Bears at Patriots. Patriots are 9 point favorites. Over under is 40. Look, I think the Patriots are going to win this game at home for sure. I'm still not sold on their offense. So I'm going to say the Bears cover the 9, but if you're going to, don't mess with the money line, because I think if you're going to do that, you definitely want to go Patriots. And I think this is a low-scoring game between two bad offenses, so I'm going to take the under. That's what we got this week, guys. I do feel a lot better about a lot of these picks than I did about a lot of last week's picks. So, I think there are still some edges to exploit here and a couple lines to exploit and a couple good parlays you can get in with 3 or 4 teams that are pretty solid. So good luck this week betting. Sorry about the rough week last week. Hopefully we turn it around this week. And let me know how you guys do. Much love. Go make that money.